And we're back with another video. Today I am working on an Outback, 2008 Subaru Outback. As you can tell, it's late in the game of actually filming this, but pulled the engine out and tore it down. Currently doing a full engine reseal on a 2008 Subaru Outback single overhead cam motor. These are pretty common to have head gasket failure and leak oil. I was able to clean the heads and they're nice and flat. Check for warpage, they're all good. So in this video you're going to see me essentially reseal the oil pan and replace the O-ring that is in the pickup tube. As you can tell, this gasket's super hard, not soft, which means you wouldn't have a good seal there. So every time you are in an engine or any place where there's an O-ring or anything like that, always replace it. Don't ever reuse O-rings, gaskets, anything like that. Just replace it and you'll be good. I just took the liberty of cleaning the edge of the pan. As you can tell, I already cleaned it while I was at work. Put it in the parts washer. Unfortunately, I don't have a parts washer at home yet. Working on that. But yeah, cleaned it at work. Cleaned all the old gasket off. So now I got to put a new O-ring there, and then got to grab a tube of silicone and silicone edge, and then I can put it on. This time we are working on putting both cylinder heads on each side. As you can tell, I already put the pan on and motor mounts, so it's all freshly glued. I'm sure you guys seen that in the previous video, but just a little update. So yeah, like I said, next is going to be putting the cylinder heads on. I have already built those off camera. I figured it'd be boring and I didn't have my stuff to do it at work, to film it at work, so here we are. But in this video you are going to see me going through and doing the valve lash on them to make sure all the valve clearances are correct. It's a pretty simple process on single cams. It's not super hard, but yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy the next couple minutes. razor blade, one of these things. It helps if you keep it nice and flat on the surface. Helps you get all the gunk off of it. And then next step, brass brush. Make sure it's brass. Brass. Big thing is brass is really soft metal, and so when you're cleaning aluminum, it helps clean it up. And then when you're done, you want to go back through with the razor blade and hit any spots that feel like there's any gasket still on there. All this stuff is just pitting from the gaskets, but the surface is nice and smooth, ready for a gasket. Okay, so here is the torque specs for putting this head on. So we're going to follow the tightening sequence of that. Grab the strap-on torque wrench, turn it on, and change it from inch-pounds to newton meters. First one is 40 newton meters. Now the next one is 95 newton meters, and then you're going to go ahead and loosen all the bolts, and then you go back through the rest of the torque sequence, same thing, and yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay, so next up, I'm measuring valve clearance. So as you can see, I guess you can't maybe see that, but valve clearance on this has got to be for the intake, it's got to be about 0.2 millimeters, and for the exhaust, it's 0.25 millimeters. So 0.20 millimeters for the intake side, 0.25 millimeters for the exhaust side. When you're going through and checking valve clearance, you're going to use a feeler gauge like this, and you're going to feel for the drag it has on it. You don't want too much drag, you don't want too little drag, you want it to be just enough where it's like a light pole. now we are going to be putting on the valve cover. As you can see, I've already put the tube seals on there, on the spark plug tubes. Got the new valve cover gasket ready to go on. All OEM gaskets, of course. No aftermarket, no Felpro. For those of you who put Felpro gaskets on these single cams, do not do that. They're junk. They will overheat or destroy your motor. Don't do it. Get OEM gaskets. Get OEM metal multi-layer steel gasket, and you'll never have to do a head gasket job on your single cam ever again. Easy peasy. There's the part number and everything. So like I said, we're going to be putting on the valve cover, so I just got to put the gasket on the valve cover and put her on there. These valve covers do not require you to put any silicone on any part of the gasket or the mating surface where the valve cover goes. So no silicone. I've seen some of you guys do it, and then it's a bitch to clean. So now what we are going to do is just do the repeat on this side. So we got to clean the mating surface from the block to the cylinder head. Cylinder head is already complete over there. And then put the head on, check the valve lash, put the valve cover on. So now that both cylinder heads are on, oil pan's on, it's time to put the engine back to its horizontal way and start assembling all the timing components, intake. Got to do the coolant crossover O-rings as well. But for now, I'm going to start working on doing the timing stuff. These things are square when they're supposed to be circular in nature, and they're hard. These wouldn't seal anything. to the next step of the engine rebuild, which is going to be putting the intake on and the AC compressor. I will do the time belt after that. So right now, just gonna put the intake on, which is this guy right here, and also the dipstick tube that will go on, and the AC compressor, which is right there. Now what we're going to work on is removing the crank sprocket and the oil pump housing so we can reseal all that. Just because I'm not sure last time it was resealed, and I want to make sure everything is sealed. Up front here you have the wrist pin access ports. You also want to reseal these, but these look like they've been already resealed, so no need to do those. You have your cam seals on each side. You have your water pump here. So just every time you're in this area, just do the seals, get it done. You know, especially if you haven't done it or haven't known it to be done in a while. Just takes care of any possible leak. Okay, so this is how I've been taught to time these engines, and this is how I time the engine. So you have your passenger side intake cam sprocket at the 12 o'clock position. You have your driver sprocket at the loaded 12 o'clock position, meaning that this is now loaded on the valve, so it could spin if you touch it, slightly. And this, it's slightly off, but you'll want this keyway at the 6 o'clock position. So with this at the 12 o'clock, this at the 6 o'clock, the crank sprocket at 6, and the other bank sprocket at the 12 o'clock position, and this a little bit loose, the idler pulley, and the tensioner on and the top idler pulley on. Now we're going to put the belt on, and there's a little trick to doing it. So now your belt is lined up on there to that, there to the mark, there to the mark, and it's all on. So now the only thing left is to put on this idler. So you slip this lip right up behind it, and then just line up that. And then obviously you're going to check torque after this to make sure all these bolts are tight, because you don't want anything in this failing. Now once all your bolts are tight, you can pull the pin, and you would either use a crank socket to turn the crank over twice, or in this case you can just put the crank bolt in it and run it all the way down until it hits the crankshaft, the snub of it. Spin it over twice. And you're going to line up this mark at the 12 o'clock position, and then you're going to check the rest of your marks. So this mark on the passenger bank should be at 12, and this mark on the driver bank should be at 12. And there's marks indicating that on each sprocket. So now it's good, all the bolts are tight, and the belt is installed.